upgrade hour. Now, today, we've got an interesting subject to talk about. But as is tradition, I want you to join me in aligning your intention and your energy. Okay? At the beginning of every one of these sessions, I'm hoping now that you're already primed and already ready now. All right, we're a few sessions in now. So take a moment. Connect with your breath. Consciously breathe. Okay? Mind, body, spirit. This is about being aware and being present. Being aware of your mental layer, your emotional layer, your body layer. Check in with your bones. Feel them. Okay? Check in with your body, aches, pains, etc. Become fully present with your body and your breath. Take a nice deep breath in. Fill your belly up, breathing from the belly, not the upper chest. And out. And now, connecting to that golden white energy, that's raw, life-giving divine light that cleanses and empowers all around you. Imagine it as these particles, like atoms, all around. As you breathe in, it's being sucked into your core, right? So it's being sucked into your heart, okay? So imagine that you're breathing into your chest from the front of you. It's filling your body as you breathe out. It's pulsing through the whole of your body. It's now glowing with a golden white light. Now you're breathing in from the front and the back. As you breathe out, more golden white light spreads through you. Breathe in now from the front, back, left and right. And spread that wonderful light through your body. Now breathe in from the front, back, left, right, top and bottom. And set the intention from your heart that today I will receive insight into what I need to know. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Now, some of you may not be able to view it in the normal way that you are. We're aware that there could be a couple of gremlins in the mix here. But for those of you that are joining me, thank you very much for taking this time out to join me. Okay. Now, before I delve into my topic, which is to do with alternative lives, it's to do with quantum mechanics in many different ways and how that science meets with spirituality, alternative lives, past lives, all of that. It's a nice subject. But before I do that, I want to connect in with those that are leaving messages for me. And I know that I do have some messages here that I want to get through first. So let's get through a couple of messages there, and then I will dig into this beautiful subject. So this is just whenever I connect, as I said before, and for those of you that are interested, you pulse the energy up your spine. Right? It goes up through from your base chakra right the way up to the top of the scalp. And then you get that beautiful energy that flows through you when you are connected to source, you're connected to energy, you're connected to your guides, your inner wisdom. And here, as you can see, my head is almost in a psychic wave. That's when you know your vibration is correct. Now we have a message from Romeo. I had a big argument with my dad. I want to know how to deal with my dad in the best way. Okay, let's have a look here. Interesting question. I like the premise you're coming from here. There's something actually quite deep-rooted in this. And when I say deep-rooted, I don't mean just this life. I mean actually in with the theme that we're talking about to some degree. There is something that goes back to a previous incarnation, alternative frequency here, because instantly I went to the base chakra energy, and then I went deeper into it. And base chakra deals with survival. It deals with a biological role of surviving in this world, right? So, and there is quite a stubborn energy that I get within their role, and and now I'm being shown Capricorn, which is more to do with a sense of tradition and how things should be. So their role as dad, sticking to what they think is correct here, seems to be clashing with what feels like more of a liberal way, or your energy seems to come across with a little bit more of a Piscean energy, at least in this. And so to me, it's far more spiritually open-minded and wanting to walk a path that might not be in line with more traditional values. And so I believe at the root of it, we're dealing with this. Now, you're not going to be able to get them to agree with you. What it feels to me here is that they are scared because they don't see mastery in you. Okay? They don't feel truly sure that you can take care of things here. That you can, in a very stereotypical, traditional way, take the father type role, like take care of things that need to be done. For some reason, they don't have that belief in you to do that. They can't surrender them having to be in control to allow you to do that. So how do you fix this? In essence, acknowledge that part of them being there is to help you to acknowledge that there is an aspect of life that is far more perhaps traditional, that you're needing to accept or honor or see its strength. So the moment that you feel like that you are able to take control of things and sort of prove to them that you've got things, you've got this, your life is sorted, and you feel like you're successful, happy, moving onwards, I get the impression when you're solving lots of practical issues, they will sort of subside. It's almost as if it's slightly like a wolf pack energy, where when the alpha proves that they're the alpha, the other alpha that used to be the alpha will back down. It's a little bit like that, but you're not gonna. I don't think you can do it in a direct way, like two alphas fighting, right? It's gonna have to be more of you proving your value in a different way, so they can observe it, and eventually they'll back down. Okay, it's gonna take some time. It takes several months. This one, okay. Best of luck. Just going to connect now to the question from Deborah here. It says, how do I make my relationship with my son better? How do I not feel guilty leaving or distancing from toxic family members? How do I heal from generational trauma? Several questions in one question there. Let me see what comes through, Deborah. Why? You are not here to consciously heal others. It is important you separate this from your identity. It is important that you acknowledge that all that which is in your life is a reflection of your inner world, and therefore how you treat yourself is how you treat others, and vice versa. That was a little bit of my guide's message here, but the interesting thing is that how do you heal from generational trauma? You raise your vibrational state is the clearest answer to that. But you become that which, again, my guide has been quite important there in terms of his statement, because You do not want to become someone that is not who you are, right? You don't want to become the healer as your identity. You need to be your authentic self. You need to be all that you feel. But acknowledge that your emotions are not who you are. They are a mood that is flowing through you. They aren't who you are. And what you really are is someone that has the capacity to feel what you feel whenever you want to feel it. So you can feel, if you choose to feel happy. You can switch it on. You can feel in bliss. You can feel gratitude and learn that process. Be it the moment, part of the generational trauma that seems to be the case with yourself here is that there is a guilt complex here that seems to float through from you. I feel like that you were chained. I am actually seeing you in an alternative lifetime here, where that you are protecting your family by putting yourself into the blame. You are saying you had done something when you hadn't, to protect your family from being killed, from what it feels like. But that is a past. So if we are, there is one thing you can do to release that within a visualization, is to deliberately visualize yourself going into your chest and go down into your root chakra, and imagine a room there that you're within, and that inside that room there are many rooms. And you ask yourself, guide me to the life where I was chained by guilt and I sacrificed myself for the family. Go into this room. And then visualize yourself. Again, you can do this in your own time. Giving love and forgiveness to that lifetime and releasing it. Break the chains off and release that drama from you. Okay, release it from your lifetime. And then allow yourself to feel happy for what you currently have. Fill yourself with gratitude. Now, your son, I am being shown to some degree that they are needing to. I was just shown a nest and then having to leave the nest. They are needing to make mistakes, and you need to allow them to make mistakes. From a mother's point of view, I can understand that you're going to not want to allow them to make those mistakes. But it does feel to me that, again, that would trigger a guilt. Have I done the right thing as a mother? Right. So if you're allowing them to go, acknowledge that their soul has chosen to take them on their path, then you can start releasing yourself from this trauma. Okay. I hope that has helped. And obviously do a much deeper process when it comes to that sort of inner world release. Okay. But I get the impression you understand where I'm going with that. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Right. Just looking at a few more here. We have Debbie. Says, I am torn between being with my daughter and grandchildren and my elderly mother. I've been traveling between two, but it is a long drive and wears me down. Should I be staying close to my mum now? This is one of these questions that it's not my role to decide what you should be doing. What, if anything, here this highlights is that you have this conflict, and that this conflict is important for you to work through. Now, what you seem to have here is perhaps a little bit of a theme here. The energy in connection to your mum feels more again, there's duty towards both, right? There's motherly duty to your daughter and grandchildren, and then you have a duty to your mother. But the mother energy feels more like you don't want to live with regret, in the fact that it feels far more of a duty in terms of a sacrifice, whereas the other daughter and grandchildren feels more like an indulgence or something that feels like it's more full of life and full of energy. So to me, your heart has chosen that you want to be with your daughter and your grandchildren. Your head is filling you with guilt for not being with your mum. So for you here, you will have a more emotionally fulfilling life on an energy level if you're spending more time with your daughter and grandchildren than you will with your mum. It's important to acknowledge that your mind will be plaguing you with guilt, and there will be a certain amount of what feels like some either poor me dynamics between you and your mum. Either they can play on your emotions, or you will allow your emotion to be played on. To me, I feel like that having more of a ratio between you, your daughter, and your grandchildren is possible, because I feel like that's not cutting your mum off entirely, but having more of a focus there, but still connecting with your mum feels like that's easily plausible ahead for you. But it is not my role to choose this for you. Okay. But based upon what I have received, I can understand where your energy is coming from, and that may help you make that decision for you. Okay. Just in order for you to work this through, send yourself to your heart, take your head out of it, and let your heart make the decision for you. In order for all of us to do that, if you're watching, we breathe into our heart several times like we did at the beginning of this session, and we take our mind off, we close our mind, we let our minds drift off, and we sink, we feel our heart, and we let it sink down. And then we just imagine we're in our heart, it's beating, and we ask it, what do you want? And just let it fantasize. Sometimes we can ask it the question and become what I would call a standing pendulum, where that we stand up, we ask the question, our heart will pull forwards for yes and backwards for no. Many of us know the pendulum, where you hold the pendulum. We can do that with our heart. We switch our mind off and we feel for when we're pulled forwards or backwards. Now ask our heart the question, which is the seed of our soul. And that may help you in this decision, and may help anyone else who's watching. Anyway, I hope that helps, Debbie. Now, there are other questions to get through, but I will deal with these a little bit later, because we have a few interesting subjects to delve into. We've actually got someone here from Facebook I do want to do a quick check out with, actually, before I delve into things here. This is Karen Willis, who's a Taurus. She's having a tough time with and will things settle down? Again, she's from Facebook, so just want to check in here. Yes, I'm being shown here around 3 weeks. It's very important here that you know what your needs are, is what is put into my head. Okay, just a quick message for you, but acknowledge your needs and make sure that you are expressing those needs clearly. Okay, because you may not be, because I'm giving me be clearer and more aware of what they are, because there's a sense of exhaustion here. Okay, hope that helps. Right. Now, I'm going to delve into something. Now, for those of you that don't know me, I've trained in many different areas, and all my life I've been a psychic, medium, healer, sensitive individual. But I've often balanced that out with studying and training in what you might call more of the mainstream arts of, psychology, coaching, counseling, all that kind of stuff. And that's to balance out this process. To make sure in many ways that I am, not going mad, that I have my sanity with me, and that what I'm seeing, feeling, hearing is coming from a stable mindset. And it's very easy whenever you delve into the spiritual world that you can become unhinged, ungrounded, attracting things to you that you don't want. There is a lot of that occurs. And so this is why this is mind, body, spirit, because the spirit is one very strong aspect of humanity. But we have the psychology of the mind. We have the biology of our physical form and our matter that I've talked through in previous sessions. But the vibrational state that we're at, this is very important. Now, there's something that's actually been proven, is the fact that there is something called the observer effect when it comes to life. Okay. Now, it's well known that everything in life is vibration. And you either got particle, which is atoms, form, matter, that we can sense with our five senses. And then we have wave. Okay. And we've all seen waves, the up and down, everything exists as that. That is exactly what life is. And even though we see this as, it's physical matter, it is at its root vibrational wave frequencies, right, that repel each other when touched. And if you think about that, if you look at two magnets, if you face them where you got positive and positive and try to put them together, there is force that repels it, right? That's the same for touch, right? There's force that's repelling that. It's wave. Okay. So when you go in deeply into a microscope, and go down and down and down and get into the quantum mechanics of everything, what is realized when scientists have done this is that like 99.99999% of everything that exists is wave, right? It's just wave energy that hasn't formed into matter, okay? Right? And this includes our whole being. This includes the whole of life, right? And also, what has been proven is that, can't go too much into the ins and outs of the details here. We don't have much time, but I like to study the ins and outs of quantum mechanics. And again, this is all proven. If you check out the observer effect, you will acknowledge here that what was found is that they did a study where that they could separate a particle and it would bounce around, right? And based upon whether the particle was observed or not observed, it would either form into a wave or a particle. Okay. Now, what that actually proves is that the act of observing something turns things into matter. Okay. I'm kind of fast tracking this here for you. That the moment in this experiment, when it wasn't being recorded or observed, the experiment observed wave patterns. When it was being recorded and observed, the same experiment would record particles. All right. And there was many different variations of this, but essentially at the very core of this, and there were subsequent studies that basically 4 different scientists in different areas of the world all thought a particle would react in a certain way. That particle behaved in the way that each individual scientist believed it would. And there was 4 different particles that are all the same, reacting entirely different according to what the scientist believed it would. And the summary of that, essentially, is that at the raw core of reality, reality reacts to our will and our intention. Literally everything in your life that is manifesting is coming from you. You have great influence over it. And this is where things like manifestation occur. Okay. This is where people can sit and to visualize and to connect with. And waves, the thing that is the majority of life, our energy, if we exist on a higher frequency where we are living in love, gratitude, and acceptance of life, and we're surrendering to the beauty of life, and that the fact that life goes up and down and it's full of difficulties and highs, and that there's a beauty to that and there's a reason for it. If we're in that state of acceptance and love, our vibration is oscillating really quickly and really powerfully. And what you'll find is that in that state of love, if we're sitting there and loving and enjoying our life, you will find that life gets more ordered. Beautiful things start to come in alignment with what you're feeling. So life, you're getting life, what you are. Okay. And if you're sitting there, this is where manifestation comes from. If you're sitting there enjoying, loving, being in like your most ideal career or your most ideal setting, and you are sitting there having it, loving it, believing it, being in a state of gratitude, your wave frequencies are heightening. It's turning on your heart magnet, which pulls things towards you. What you think of is the form things turn into. What you are feeling is the emotional dynamic relationship you have with that. Okay. And this is like a really quick explanation of quantum mechanics and law of attraction and manifestation. But let's just say you're thinking about the ideal job, right? It's important for you to make sure that you're thinking and imagining their ideal job, but your feeling is feeling happy and grateful and a sense of, deep sense of gratitude for life. If you are in some way feeling that you are, I want that job, I'm desperate for it, then you're going to be in a stage where that you're attracting desperation for that ideal, and you'll keep experiencing desperation for the ideal. Okay. So we need to control our emotional state. We need to, and in order to do that, we need to break free from the fundamental trap that the majority of society is stuck in, where that I'll feel good when. Yeah. You fill the blank after that. And I think I've tapped on this before. I feel good when I have that perfect partner, when I have this, when I have the right job, when this happens, when that happens. If you're sitting stuck in that, you are stuck in the matrix. You're stuck in the conditioned mindset, right? Your outer environment does not control you. You must take control of your life. Now, this in the tarot is about the magician card, the major arcana, the understanding that we control our life. We are the magicians of our life. Our inner world rules the outer world. Okay? It does. We need to be consistent with it. What I mean by this is when you go in the gym, right? You don't expect to go in the gym, pump some weights and then walk out looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? You know that it takes time to go in there consistently doing that. And eventually, over several months, you will notice that your body's starting to look stronger, more toned, etc. It's the same thing for vibrational aspects. The more you consciously feel how you want to feel and visualize a reality of having what you already have, setting your feelings in the future already, as if it's already happened. Eventually, a few months down the line, that reality is born into fruition. You're already creating it in the ether. You're creating it in raw energy, and then it comes true. Okay. But we need to live that, to be that in the moment. Okay. Get used to doing that. All right. I know it's a bit of a deep dive into everything, but it's backed up by science now. Spirituality has been talking about it for a while in the philosophical and religious texts in many different ways, but science is backing this up and has done for quite some time. It just hasn't really leaked out into mainstream. But I'm an advocate for loving to delve into the deep mysteries of things. But anyway, that's a little bit of content for you to mull over here and to reflect on in this Mind, Body, Spirit Upgrade Hour. And I'm now going to connect in with a few of your messages now, because there's a few more to get through. So we got a message here from Nicole. Why do Rex and I keep breaking up? Will this time be for good? Will I meet someone else? And when? Okay. Will you meet someone else? The answer is, if you want to, you will. And so this is actually going back to what we've just said, to do with you need to become more aware of what you want and what you really are feeling here. Now, there's an unusual smell. Okay. Is there any kind of drinking scenario that's around this? I kind of feel like that when I go to Rex, there's something that there could be either drink or, and there's quite a bit of deep purple, which means avoidance. There's a lot of emotional avoidance that seems to be with them. So there seems to be patterns of self-delusion going on, not feeling the feelings and avoiding them. And in yourself here, there is a certain comfort zone in the way that how you, again, it's the analogy. If people treat you how you treat yourself. Okay, so if you keep breaking up, understand what the deep reason for that breakup is. Okay, are you allowing yourself to put up with what you are not happy with and then getting exhausted with it and then snapping back at them, which I feel like is a cycle? It's like, oh, this isn't going right again. And then it sort of, both of you get exhausted with each other. To me, it feels like that there is a lower self-worth aspect towards you that deep down doesn't actually believe that you're valuable enough to have someone that gives you all of the love and attention. And I would say here with you that there is a pattern of abandonment that seems to flow back. It's there, but not there. Like your connection with your family felt like that there was sort of an odd cycle of tension, argument, problem solve, keeping an unusual dialogue going on that feels like a frustrated backwards and forth energy that isn't actually very healthy, but that has become your comfort zone, right? So that's what you are on autopilot attracting to you. Important for you to acknowledge and to boost your self-worth here so that this doesn't attract it to you again. Now, since it's the Mind, Body, Spirit Upgrade Hour, acknowledge that that's a beacon on the inside of you, that your comfort zone is to attract to you unhealthy dynamic relationships. That's a comfort zone. It's what you've got used to when you were younger. Becoming conscious of it and going, I'm no longer going to attract that, and I am worthy of, and fill the blank there. I am worthy of. Write that down. Write it down and feel it. Fantasize about it like you did as a child. Exactly what I've just been talking about with having it already. Fantasize about exactly what you want to have. Okay? Say it to yourself, I'm worthy of having this. I'm worthy of having this, right? And feel it, believe it on the inside of you. And check for feelings that come up that make you feel guilty or unworthy. Like, I don't think anyone would want to give me this, or I'm not worthy. Feel those, put them in check, right? The more you do it, and the more you start to value yourself, the more and more that you're going to attract to you valuable people. And again, make sure here that you are treating yourself with love and respect. Okay? If you are, you're loving and respecting yourself, and you're doing what you know that you want to do and what makes you feel good about yourself, then you will find that others will treat you the same way. Okay? Because quite often, I know I've had this in the past. If I've been self-attacking of myself, if I've been undermining of myself, I will find life has a way of reflecting that inner dialogue inside me in the outer world, where I'll have someone else making me feel that way because I have been quite hard on myself or undermining of myself, etc. So reflect on that as well. I hope that's helped. Okay. We have another question here from the lovely Joseph. I'm just going to read this one out. Joseph, 2 women have recently come into my life. Nothing has happened yet, but I wondered which one to pursue, A or J. I feel like I'm drawn to A initially here. I feel like my heart opens up. I am very much looking to the skies here. So to me, I would say that there's something to do with A's energy that might be a little bit of a deeper thinker. You know, someone that looks to the stars. There is a feeling of a heart connection here, and I would say that there is. It's kind of interesting. There is a spirituality about this connection with A, because I feel like when I go to them, I am praying. So either this someone that's spiritual at core, or that there is a connection, an alternate life. Some call them past lives. I tend to call them alternate, where that the two of you have had a journey here, where that's you were waiting for each other. So there's something of a previous deeper connection that I can sense with A. But there may be a patience theme to it, so be aware of that. Now with J, I am thrown down with J to the lower chakra here around the solar chakra. And I feel like I'm laughing in a fun energy. I'm not so looking up. I feel like with Jay's energy, for some reason, I am also crossing my arms and taking a step back as if I'm assessing or evaluating the value of yourself. So there's a little bit of a feeling of perhaps like a playfulness, but yet a guarded energy of like not wanting to let you in or wanting to make sure that you check certain standards here. So what you may have here is a situation where that Jay might be more available in essence, but yet there's also again there's actually a sort of a repeated theme there, waiting. What I want to double check here is, are you ready? Both these parties have a scenario where that one, there is a patience theme from an alternative life, and a spiritual aspect, and another that is far more into fun, play, indulgence, having a good laugh, etc., but yet is guarded and wants to double check that things aren't, so again, there's a patience thing, right? So are you ready? What does a relationship mean to you? What are you wanting from a relationship? And are you happy in other areas of your life? Okay. Because what you've got here is one lady representing a sense of approaching life through fun and not connecting elsewhere and focusing on needs, and another that seems to have a connection, whether she's doing it or not, that has a alignment with spirituality, understanding a connection to life, God, and this aspect. Whether she's consciously doing that or not, that seems to be the alternate life connection between the two of you. And it feels like that within this, are you self-sustained? Are you happy with yourself? Are you in a place where that you're enjoying your life and that you are just wanting someone to come in and join in with the life you already enjoy? And if so, what is it that you really require from a partner? Reflect on that, because you may find the answer comes to you. Apparently, there's going to be interesting news coming in of this weekend that helps you with this decision over the two as well. Okay, I'll leave that with you. Okay. Now we have another question here from Georgina. And this one is fell out with a good friend approximately 5 years ago. I've sent Christmas presents also last year. I wrote her a letter, and I still class her as family. Does she still care or want friendship, or should I stop wasting my time? Again, to some degree with this one, I can give you an observation of what is likely to happen based upon the energy I feel. What you should do is your soul's choice. Okay, I do not like telling people what to do. It's in most cases, people tend to go with what they really want to do anyway. So in this case here, again, this feels like that the conflict that we have here is that you've got a lot of love there, and it feels like there is guilt woven into this. Something that was said several years ago that was taken the wrong way and misunderstood. And I do believe that you are aware of that and wanting to remedy that. But also, you are not at fault here. Okay? I believe they may have made out that you were more at fault than you were, but their reaction, how they reacted to what occurred, also needs to be taken into account. Someone can overreact. I do believe that this was the case. Does she still care? Not as much as you do. And to some degree, I believe that it's part of your own self-worth is woven into this. There's a part of you here that wants to fix things so you can feel better about yourself. Now, that's maybe not what's consciously going through your mind. But if you dig deeper, that's what the case is here. And there's a part of you that is getting close to the idea of going, look, I've tried and tried and tried, and I'm worth more than doing that, right? So if you can see where I'm going with that, there's a part of you that's already making the decision internally to go, I've tried, and I'm exhausted of trying to put the past guilt behind me and clear things up. I feel like it's about time for me to feel worthy enough to start enjoying my life here and now. And it will only be your own mind that is plaguing you with moral conflicts, like, oh, I should be doing this, and we always have this connection and guilt, and take that out of the way. And you'll find that your heart's tired of this exchange already. However, you pulling away doesn't mean that the connection will be ended forever. There'll be a gap, granted. But I'm being shown a phoenix when you least expect it. Okay? But definitely is the right time, from what I can feel in you, for you to be choosing you rather than trying to prove to yourself that you are now worthy enough to start enjoying yourself. And the act of trying to make it up with her is part of that proving to yourself that you're allowed to enjoy yourself now. It's like, if that's resolved, there's a part you can go, oh, right, okay, now that's sorted. I can now start getting on with things, and just do that anyway. Okay? Do that anyway and release that internal baggage that's there. In time, I think they'll come around. But don't look out for it. Let it surprise you. Okay? Now, this brings me down to some other aspects that I want to do a bit of a deeper dive into. You may have heard me say alternate life. And one thing I want to say here is that when linking into this whole quantum realm, that we can manifest our life, but it's a delay with everything. Acknowledge it a little bit like you set your emotion, and your emotion pulls the emotional theme to you. So just to double check here, right? Mind, body, spirit connection. This is the loop of thoughts, feelings, body, soul, connection to spirit. It's all of that in unison. There's a balance going on all the time. What do you feel most regularly in your day? What feeling are you regularly feeling? Frustration, stress, love, gratitude, fun, joy, reflectiveness. What is it? Okay. Now they'll fluctuate throughout the day. Do you tend to just feel one or two feelings? Do you feel okay most of the time? Do you feel down most of the time? What I mean by that is, whatever you feel, you attract to you in the future. Okay, and again, it's something to delve into. Future is in the mind. There is only the present. The future, in terms of subsequent feedback, is the way I would put it. If you can imagine that your feelings are like a stone being dropped into a pond, right? What feeling sends out the ripples, and then they bounce back like off of the walls of the pond, and then they come back to you in the same frequency that the feeling went out. Okay. And that time delay is the same time delay you get when you go in the gym, when you do this. It takes time for the process of energy to go out and come back, right? And if you are constantly every day feeling and thinking the same things every single day, why do you then believe that your life is going to change? Okay. Think about that. Reflect on that. The only way your life is ever going to change is when what you are thinking and what you are feeling changes significantly. If you want to feel happy more now, right? Release yourself from the chains of when. I'll feel happy when I have this, that, and the other. That's the illusion. That's the mind. It's the prison. You can switch it. I've practiced this. Every day I practice this. And those that I work with and I connect with, I bring them around to emotional mastery. You can switch on happiness. I can switch on anger if I want to. Feel it ripple through me. I can switch on peace, tranquility, or passion. I can switch it on. We can switch it on. Choose what you feel and make it happen inside you. Then you master life. You absolutely master it. And you are the magician. Your external circumstances do not rule you. But why do we sit there doing that? Why do we believe that? Because of the TV, right? Because of conditioning. Like, we are taught through conditioning, watching the TV, that there are people that are smiling and happy when they drink a can of Coke, or when they get that perfect partner. Suddenly they're all smiling and happy. When they've got that perfect house, they're all smiling and happy. It's, I feel happy when. Marketing tactic, right? You'll get a feeling is associated to having something, right? You are the master of your own feelings. So I know I've labeled that point, but it's incredibly important to spiritual growth and inner balance. Unless you are mastering your inner world, you will always feel like that you're a leaf blowing around in the wind, subject to external circumstances. Okay? You need to be able to have someone come up to you who's in a bad mood. That's, oh my God, my life's going crazy. And for that to just bounce off of you. And you control your mood. be able to empathize, understand, but within a moment you can go and keep your own mood, like a bubble, your own aura. Right? This is your inner environment. You're in control. And this sort of brings me on to the other subject that I'm talking about here, which is alternate lives. Some people call it past lives. But all lives exist in the present moment. There are just many different frequencies. If you imagine it a little bit like a computer game, right? If you imagine that life is a spiritual computer game, like a 3D, all-encompassing computer game. And in computer games, you have servers, right? That are the exact same game, but there may be hundreds and thousands of different servers. And on these servers that run the same game, there will be subtle differences. If you understand the computer game mechanic, you may have a character in a game, for example, that is, I don't know, it's got a certain amount of money, certain amount of successes, completed a certain amount of quests, however you want to put it, may have a partnership. If we're looking at like Sims, that computer game, that's kind of like another way of looking at it. And then on the same server, you may have another character that's like level 2, right, compared to one that's level 50, that's got less, but it's still on the same game. All the things are the same, but it's just different. Okay. Now, we have a soul that is separated into fragments of itself, right? Many shards that are existing in many different alternate realities. Now, they're all happening right now. We perceive it in our head as in the past or in the future. This is why we call it past lives, because they feel like they are in the past, but they're happening at this very moment right now in an alternative dimension, an alternative life. And these realities are all happening right now. They're all dramas that are being played out, okay, chosen by our soul that is trying to learn specific things. And we may have a drama that's set specifically in a medieval period of time. We can also have alternative lives that are set in a future set, okay? But quite often, because our mind isn't aware of them, we can't digest these. And what happens is that all of these have an effect on ourselves, in our feeling. Quite often we are born having an inheritance, so to speak, of all of the dimension. Now, if you look at it, if you look at the line of, if you imagine there are 6 lives, they're copies of your soul. One's in the medieval, one's in the future, one's sort of 1950s, one's in this what we would call the present time, and they're all experiencing slightly different things, right? And if you imagine them all sitting in a lake, and all of them, their feelings are buzzing out like a ripple effect, and they're bumping into each other, right? Bumping into each other and creating this combination of wave in the middle. That amalgamation or combination of all of these experiences is what formulates what our present is. And this is where that we can sometimes have very vivid dreams that we're running out of a building, or we're suddenly on a beach somewhere, or they're shards of understandings that we've connected from alternate lives. And we can actually choose to disconnect from these to learn the lesson from them if we want to. This is a process that we can do. We can go internally and disconnect from that repeated loop, because sometimes there are repeated patterns and loops that we are choosing to learn. Now, let's face the fact here that our soul is an omnipotent being that can do absolutely anything. It can manifest anything it wants, right? It can feel anything it wants, manifest anything it wants, create a beautiful world in a moment. But it chose specifically to manifest in a finite world, okay? Like I say, imagine playing football with no rules, where that you're like Superman, and it will get very boring, okay? When you're an omnipotent soul that can do anything. You manifest as a finite soul, okay? With finite rules to learn specific things that the soul is interested in learning. How would I exist if I had the morals of being someone that wants to help the world, but yet I'm born in a body that can't perform as well as everyone else. Maybe my legs don't work properly, but yet I'm born with a passionate soul, but I have a desire to inspire people, but I'm also, I've got obstacles to overcome. How would that play out? I have someone that help. It's like, if you can see what's going on from the soul's perspective, there are certain things your soul wants to learn. And in astrology, for example, there's something called your North Node and your South Node. And quite often the soul has an evolutionary process towards it, right? It's wanting to, like, for example, you have a South Node is often what you've emotionally learned in the previous life. Let's say Capricorn, okay? So Capricorn, you learnt in that previous life to have status, to work hard, to become a solid rock. Perhaps you were top of a business. You were the iconic understanding of Capricornian energy is someone that is a hub of authority that works hard and is full of duty. So usually they're the head of a business. They will work in some kind of duty-orientated role that's it's got a providing for everyone feel, right? Providing a role. And if you had a life like that, you're likely in the next life to be born with a North Node in Cancer, which is more about satisfying the need for home and emotional indulgence and family and connectiveness and satisfying your own emotional need to feel your own self, right? So it's taking care of your family and loved ones, etc., which is an evolution. If you've experienced that, you're going to want to experience other things to counterbalance your whole experience of what life's all about, okay? But sometimes these patterns are things that when we become aware of them, we can learn that lesson and release that if it's something we feel like we've understood. And that's often what this life is about, is becoming aware of the patterns and then forgiving and releasing them, right? Using our conscious mind, that I've just mentioned, the quantum mechanic thing, to realize I'm following a repeated pattern of always feeling the same way, that all of these other alternative lives and my past and all of this has conditioned me to feel. And we get that moment of the magician going, I can choose to break this cycle. I can feel whatever I want. And I am free of these alternative lives, these patterns, and I can choose to clear my karma, as you might call it, karma. And that's what I've been here to gift you with today. Now, just going to do a quick little check to see whether there's any more messages that flicked through, because I know we're coming to the end of our time here. But I hope this time has been a reflective time, a stage for you to be able to acknowledge that, just with me right now, for these last few moments, just become aware of exactly what you are feeling and where that feeling is. Don't judge it. See if you can feel the energy in your body. Like right now, I've got this buzzing energy around my throat. My third eye is tingling. And in the upper part of my chest, it's like a pressure, but sink into that pressure. If you feel pressure, it's because there's a part of you that's not used to feeling happy. And the reason why there's a subtle bit of pressure here is I'm live on TV. Should I be sitting here giggling? It's like that subtle bit of inhibition, but I'm choosing to counter it. And when I brace it, it just makes me want to feel happy, right? Absolutely happy. So feel through your body as sensations. Where are they? Let it go, relax into it, and choose to feel what you want to feel. Okay? Now, I just want to say, before I clock off from this live, that I am going to be logging on for another hour, so you can get through to me on pin number 500-321. Okay? So if you've liked what I have been talking about, or you want to have a reading yourself to see what comes through for you, then feel free to get hold of me on pin number 500-321. But I will leave you with love and respect